Stop what you're doing right now before you go any farther so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. Hey guys, I'm Mark with the Ovalrc. I'm all excited. I got a brand new excavator to show you guys today. Okay guys, here it is. It's double E Hobby 1/14 scale full metal hydraulic excavator. It's the Volvo EC160E, item number E111-001-003. I got it from wave-rc.com. You can get it for under $2,000, and it's a very popular excavator. All right, let's get out of the box. Let's check it out. So you guys might need two people to get this thing out of the box. It's got some weight to it, especially on the one end where I think the motor is. Looks like we got some latches on the front. We're going to open that up and get this thing opened up. Pop these latches open right here. It does have some buckles, I guess. That's what you might call them. And it flips open just like this. And that's what our hydraulic excavator looks like inside there. And it does look good. Can unpackage some of this stuff here. We'll talk about that in just a minute, but I know you guys want to get yours out of the box, and I know you want to start it and run it like I wanted to. So I'm going to quickly show you what you need to do in order to do that. Pull everything out of the box here. We got the radio. We're going to pull these protective styrofoams off the radio right here. A really nice double E radio, and it looks like good quality too. Okay, now we'll get the excavator out of the box. And you got to be careful when you're lifting everything because it's the hydraulic excavator, meaning that it has hydraulic fluid running through these hoses. So you don't want to break off a hose while you're lifting this out of the box. You got to be very careful. I'm going to grab it by the back and right underneath the arm and lift it right out. Whew. And mine did come with this plastic bottle here, I think for the hydraulic fluid, and there's nothing inside. A few of the things you do get with it, you do get a bind cable in case you lose bind with your radio. You get this kit right here, which is for sound. So that's right, I could have hydraulic sounds, motor sounds that go along with this excavator. And the speaker boxes are right inside this CADA bag right here. You will get an instruction booklet with the excavator and one for the radio. First thing you'll need to do is install the 4 AA batteries inside the radio. It does not come with the batteries. Turn the radio around like that, slide the door off, and install the batteries. Okay, the book does mention this, and the first thing you need to do is flip all these switches forward. Next thing you'll need to do is charge the lithium-ion battery on the excavator. You want to do that by going to the back of the machine, removing these 4 thumb screws right here. You may need a screwdriver to loosen them up because they may be tight. Take all 4 out. Next, on the side of the machine, you'll see this door at the back. Get your thumbnail underneath that like that and open it up just like that. And we'll do the same on the other side. With the doors opened up, now you can remove the back of the excavator. The battery comes out just like that. It's a 7.4 volt, 6,000 milliamp hour lithium ion battery. The battery comes with an XT60 connector on it. You can charge this with a regular RC car charger if you like, as long as it charges lithium ion batteries. The excavator comes with 2 USB chargers, one for the radio and one for the battery. While we have the back off, you guys can see the receiver, the servos, and the hydraulic pump. I did charge this battery up already, so let's stick it back in the machine and plug it in. This door on the side also opens up just like that. If you look inside, you'll see the hydraulic oil pressure gauge. And at the back, you can see the hydraulic pump. And the other side, right above the switch, is where you're going to plug in your battery. It is kind of tough to get to, and the other end that you're plugging into is mounted firmly inside the machine. You have to kind of use your thumbnail and push it right into place. This wire here is the balance connector. You don't plug that into anything. You just lay that inside the machine like that. A couple reasons why this is a very popular RC hydraulic excavator. Yes, the price being under $2,000 does help, but it has a lot of nice detail too. It's very well made and looks like the real thing. I think that's the big thing with this excavator here. It's got the hand railing, looks really nice. A mirror that swings away just like that. An operator stand right here. The tracks are metal and spring loaded. There's a lot of pressure against those tracks. Everything is metal. The gears, the drives, all that's metal. And it also has the operator door that opens up. So the cab does have a lot of nice detail. It has the handles to move the tracks, the foot pedals, hand controls for the boom and the bucket, suspension seat. The seat looks nice and even has some gauges in there, although they are blacked out. It's got a lot of nice detail at the front of the cab. Yes, it's got headlights, windshield wipers, hand railing, vent at the bottom of the cab, and real hydraulic cylinders. That's right, these are real. There is hydraulic fluid moving through them. That's what makes everything move. Has plastic hoses and brass fittings. The hoses coming off the boom to the dipper arm, you can see, are wrapped with this, looks like a pen spring almost, but it looks really good. It looks just like the real thing. This is also a hydraulic cylinder, and the linkage is all metal, and the bucket is metal. It's about 2 inches wide. And there is a hatch on top that you can open up to get in at the receiver. Next, we'll turn on the radio by pressing these 2 buttons right here. If you look on the front of my radio, it says fly mode off. TX is full battery. RX has a question mark. That's because we didn't turn on the machine yet. Next, we're going to turn on the machine by flipping on the on-off switch right here on the side. After we turn the radio on and the machine on, you'll have some functions. These scroll wheels right here on the top of the radio, that'll move the tracks forward and back on both sides. You can move this arm on the left. You can hear servos moving, but nothing else moves. And this side here, if you go side to side, you can move the house, but we can't move the boom or the bucket yet. Now you want to flip this switch right here toward you. You can hear the hydraulic pump motor running. Now we can move the boom and the bucket. This whole area that sits on top of the tracks is actually called the house, and it will do a 360 turn all the way around without limitations. Stop what you're doing right now before you go any farther so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. I started using the machine, it started acting all weird. It didn't have a lot of pressure on the boom, and the bucket wouldn't curl up right. It just didn't have a lot of power. So I knew there was a hydraulic oil problem somewhere. I wasn't sure where. I wasn't sure whether it was a leak or whether it was just low on oil. And also, the top of the body, well, it's called the house, was actually loose on where it mounts to the track area there, and it started wobbling around. So I did find out that the bolts were loose there. So before you use the machine, go around and check all the bolts, because maybe somebody forgot to tighten them up at the factory. You never know. Now the oil, I was told that they only ship it with a little bit of oil, just enough to run the machine, so that way they can test it, but they don't ship it with all the oil in because of shipping purposes, obviously. I did look in the book, and what I found was this tiny little sentence right here. It says, notice before the first operation, add 100 milliliters of oil. And if you look really, really close, you can see where it says it right there. And that's the only thing that it says about oil for this machine here. So I'm going to show you guys. So I marked off 100 milliliters. That's this tape right here, and it's about that much oil. So that's a lot of oil that this machine needed. The hydraulic oil that you need is the L-HM46, and that's what they recommend. Now, I did convert that over, and I found out that I could use Kubota HD46 oil, and that works just fine. To check the oil, you will need to open up these doors right here like this. This side here, you will see the motor. This is the pressure screw. You won't mess with that at all. On this side here, you'll see the pressure gauge, and then you'll see a plug right underneath that. That's the plug you need to take out. All that is just a plug for your oil tank. And I did take a piece of duct tape right here and mark how high the oil needs to be. And that's with the cylinders retracted, and I'll show you what I mean there. Next, you can take yourself a plastic tie after you remove this plug right here. Go down inside the tank all the way to the bottom and pull it out just like a dipstick on a car. And my oil level was pretty low, so I needed a lot of oil. Next, you'll use this oil fill right here, fill it up with some oil, go right down on the inside and squeeze it until you get to this level right here. And that's with the cylinders retracted, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, next you'll want to turn on your radio. You want to turn on the excavator, and you can move the boom around a little bit, and that's just to see if there's any oil in there at all. If it doesn't move, take a little bit of oil, squirt down inside the tank there with this plug here removed, and then move around the boom to see if it starts to move. And then you'll want to retract all the cylinders. And what I mean by that is, see, you can see some metal right here sticking out of the cylinder. Make sure that's all inside each and every cylinder. Do it with that. Do it with the bucket. And also You're going to do it with the boom. Make sure cylinders retracted here, here, and here. And after you do that, then you can check the oil level in your tank. With all the cylinders retracted, the oil level should be right here. You can leave this plug off and move things around and move the boom around and make sure that no oil is going to come up out of there. If you retract all the cylinders and oil starts pouring out of here, well, then take some oil out. You can use this bottle right here to suck it back out again. And you want to try to get as close to this level here as possible. If you try checking the oil with all these cylinders out like that, what's going to happen is when you retract all those cylinders at once, it's all going to come back in this tank here, and if there's no room for that oil to expand, it's going to blow out a seal. So that's why it's so important to retract all those cylinders and then check your oil level. Leave the cap off a little bit, move everything around, test it out, retract all the cylinders again to make sure it's not going to pour over the tank, recheck your oil again, put the cap back on, you're ready to go. And one last thing, the bolts holding this whole unit here to the body, they were loose and this thing was wobbling around, so I had to come back and tighten up all the bolts, and then I checked all the bolts. One thing to remember is that this is a hobby, and yes, this is for the more advanced RC hobby guys, because this stuff here can get pretty expensive. Now you want to make sure that you go through all your checks. Make sure you check your oil, make sure you check your bolts before you're ready to go. So you guys can see this machine has a lot of digging power. It'll curl the bucket right up, pull the bucket right toward the body of the excavator, get a full heaping bucket. And I'm not that good at operating this thing yet, so you guys can probably see that, but it digs really nice. I did loosen up the pile a little bit here. It did rain a lot last night, but the ground's not totally hard, so we can dig right down. Makes for a real nice video, and you guys can see this machine work. This thing works so awesome. I love it. Still learning how to use the machine yet. I don't quite have it figured out, but that's part of the fun. And you can see it doesn't have any trouble digging right into that fresh ground. Something I found out while testing the machine, the switch that turns on the hydraulics, you can move it to the middle position, and that makes the pump on demand, meaning when you move the stick, then the pump turns on. If you want the pump running all the time, just move that switch all the way toward you. Although I really didn't notice much of a difference in performance, but then again, I'm not that great of an operator, so I leave that switch right in the middle. So I really enjoyed doing the unboxing of this excavator today, guys. I know I'll be using it more, especially out at Cabin Fever Expo. If you want to pick yourself up one, check it out at wave-rc.com. I'll leave the link in the description below. I'm Mark with the Ovalrc. We'll see you next time.